Hey, how's everyone doing? Um, Sorry I'm late again. Thank you guys for all of you who put up with my always give me 10 more minutes stuff. For those of you who are here right now, can we hear my heater? Because on the outside it sounds pretty loud, but I just don't know what's picking up on my sound. If we can hear it and it's loud, I'll shut it off. If not, I'm going to leave it on because it's a little chilly here tonight. Give me just a second. Okay, well, tonight we had originally planned to come live on Madalena Kojikari's case, a little girl missing out of Cornelius, North Carolina. However, a couple of our panel guests have had some issues with sickness and the weather, so we're going to leave it at that and reschedule for tomorrow night. But I thought I would still come on tonight and touch on some local unsolved Kentucky cases. So the first one that I wanted to touch on is Kevin Price. But before we get into that, I seen a really good video. Looks like there's a new channel that's going to be covering Summer Wells. They go by Little Britches. Give me a moment and let me pull that up because I wanted to watch that video with you guys and kind of go over it before we get started. And that'll give people time to get in here because I really want as many ears as possible on Kevin's case because it doesn't get talked about that much. Give me just a second here and I'll pull this video up. So I know everybody has a Summer Wells theory. This isn't going to be a complete Summer Wells stream, but this is just kind of where I'm going to start. But I know everyone has their theory, and all theories are welcome here respectfully. No name calling, nothing like that. But whatever anyone's theory is, that's your theory, and you're allowed to have it. Hopefully that makes my sound a little better. Hey, 4Q, how are you? Hey, single mom, it's good to see you. Ada, good to see you as always. So, where was I at here? Oh, yeah, I was pulling that up. Like I said about the Summers case, as long as everybody's being respectful, have whatever theory you would like. They're all welcome here because we're here to discuss it. That's what we're going to do is discuss this. And we're all adults and we can do that. It'll take me just a second to grab this video here. Should be in my history. I've watched it a couple times. It just takes me a second. Like when you guys go back to your YouTube history, do you find yourself going through pages? 4Q, I'm doing good. The sickness has passed in my house, so I'm pretty happy about that. I see there's a new sickness that blew up everywhere else, though, so hopefully we're not going to be dealing with that next. But we won't even think about that tonight. Okay, give me just a second here. Let me share my screen. Don't do this for a week and I get out of practice. It very well may be. I mean, it's a little podunk town, and that tends to happen there. I'm not going to sit here and call any of them crooked because I don't personally know, but I mean, I do see that maybe the investigation wasn't done pretty thoroughly in the beginning. Okay, so see if this will come up for us. This is a channel that I seen last night. They're going by Little Britches. And this video I thought was very good for their first video. And it kind of, I hope they do more from other perspectives, but it just kind of gives you one theory and plays it out very well. So trigger warning, you know, anything to do with these cases, you're in true crime, guys. There's going to be some crazy stuff said. So this might be too much for some people. If it is and you want to leave for a few minutes and come back, that's fine. But we're going to go ahead and watch this. And like I said, after this, we'll get on to the cases. But this is just a video that I wanted to share with you all because I thought it was very well done.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it.
Oh my God. God damn it. Forgive me, God.
Keep a close watch on your kids.
Yes.
Don't let them out of your sight.
So, what you guys think? Like, I felt like I was on Ben Hill for a minute. Like I said, I hope this creator decides to, do more videos like that from each perspective, because I don't know, I like that. That's something different than I'd been seeing. And poor Summer's case has been covered to pieces. So it was nice to see something a little different. Yes, single mom, I always appreciate your support and your help. Mhm. I thought so, Ada. I mean, none of us really know what happened. We all have our opinions, and we all know what we know, and we all watch what we watch here on YouTube. So, it is what it is, but in all reality that very well could have happened, and I thought it was a good way to put that one in perspective. Yeah. Great. Okay, and up here Ada shared Little Britches link. If you guys don't care, if you like the video, go over there and sub up, because I'm sure they'll have more to come. Me too, FarQ. Me too. I'm telling you, I'm on the fence and I flip flop every day somewhere else, somewhere new. Um, just as I think I've made up my mind on what I feel was probable that happened, something else comes at me and someone else points something else out, and I don't know. I'll be interested to see what happened, because I mean, surely it will be solved. Surely. Unfortunately, yeah. Hey, Kelly Dom, it's good to see you. We've just been on for a few minutes. We played a summer video that I'd found last night, from a newer channel, Little Breeches, that I hadn't seen yet. So that's pretty much where we are up till now. And Ada, yes, unfortunately, I live in an area that I feel is probably comparable to Ben Hill. Like, we're on a mountain out here. So, yeah, these kids on these backwoods, they never see that many vehicles. They're riding their bicycles in the road and everything. So yeah, I've had to swerve to miss them before as well. Unfortunately, thank goodness I don't drive fast. Okay, so now I know that I had mentioned that I was going to be talking about some unsolved Kentucky cases. The one that I want to start with is one that's actually pretty close, and yeah, it's unsolved, and it's crazy to me that it's still unsolved. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and get started on Kevin Pross's case. Has anybody ever heard of Kevin Pross? Not the singer, the young man that was unfortunately murdered in Pulaski County back in 2009. I hope so. I hope so. I don't know what happened to what, but I hope so. Well, thank you, Level, for sending people this way. It's always nice. I'm going to go ahead and read this. This is on the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office website. So this is law enforcement facts here. All of this is. It says on November 9th, 2009, Kevin was last seen leaving work at 3:30 p.m. from Eagle Hardwood, just north of Somerset. When he didn't return home, family members became concerned and reported him missing. Later in the evening, Kevin's silver Dodge Dakota was found burning near the former Outdoorsman Club's pond behind Eagle Hardwood. So they found his truck burning in behind his place of employment. And then on November 28th, 2009, Kevin's burned body was located in a remote area off Strawberry Road in eastern Pulaski County. His death has been ruled a homicide. If you have any information to the murder of Kevin Pross, please contact the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. You may be eligible for a cash reward if your information leads to the arrest and conviction of person or persons responsible for this murder. You may also remain anonymous if you wish. They have Matt Bryant listed as the lieutenant on this case, and they also have a two-page here, guys, and you can do that anonymous. So I'll put this link in the description after the live's over with. If anybody has any information, you can report it anonymous. And just on a side note, if anybody down at the sheriff's office needs anybody to proofread these websites for them, I'd be more than happy to. I don't want people coming on here reading illegible. Oh man, cracks me up. I also think that maybe they didn't get the date wrong. I don't know why I thought he was found in December, but I guess not. So they did find him not a long time, but quite some time after he went missing. You know, he wasn't in the same location. He was moved. Let me see what I pulled up here next to kind of tell the story. I'm no expert on Kevin's case, although, like, you know, it is pretty close to home. It is pretty close to home. So we'll just dig it together tonight a little bit. Let me see which one of these I'm going to pull up next here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the next one I'm going to pull up here. It's out of the Lexington Herald Leader. And I thought this was a really interesting article. It talks about a second body possibly being found with his. So let me switch over to it real quick. I'm going to get faster at this one day, guys. And when I do, you're going to be blown away. It happened back in 2009, November of 2009. Okay, yeah, that came up. Okay, so like I said, this is in the Lexington Herald Leader. This was from November 2015. Is this article? It's titled "Human Remains of Pulaski County Point to Second Homicide," authorities say. Investigators gathering evidence in one slaying in Pulaski County turned up bone fragments that point to another possible homicide. Police found the small pieces of bone over the weekend where the body of a man had been dumped and burned, but the bones were not far from that victim, authorities said Wednesday. That was evident because there were two of the same type of bone from a left elbow, said Dr. Emily Craig, the state's forensic anthropologist. The individuals were burned at the site, she said. So she definitely said that there was more than him burned at that site. And I'm going to tell you guys, unless we find it tonight while we're digging, I have never heard of who this second person is. And it's really, unsettling. And I understand that they probably just found, two of the same type of bone from a left elbow. So it's probably small, but, that's just a little bit chilling, something close to home like this. Thank you, Kelly. I hope you have a good dinner. Thank you, single mom. Your support's appreciated. Okay, and then it goes on to say on Wednesday, investigators searched the site for more remains. Painstaking work that included sifting dirt through a screen. A special FBI evidence collection team helped. It's been a pretty tedious process, Craig said. Searchers found some additional bone fragments Wednesday, said Pulaski County Coroner Richard New. New said investigators plan to continue searching the site Thursday. Authorities found the bones while investigating the death of Jeffrey Kevin Price II. 21 had been missing for nearly 3 weeks when someone on an all-terrain vehicle spotted his body Saturday in a secluded clearing beside Pittman Creek in a wooded area east of Somerset. The body was placed in a brush pile, set afire, and badly burned. So just a comment on this area because I am familiar with it. This area is actually an area where me and my husband way back in the day used to go and park, guys. So it's very remote. Unfortunately, something like this had to happen out there, but it's just a very remote area. And so someone was off-road, riding, and that's how he was found. News said he collected skeletal remains and bone fragments at the scene and sent them to the state medical examiner's office to identify the body. Craig said she had looked through more than 1,000 bone fragments from the site. While poring over bone fragments, sorting them by size and color, she found some that could not have come from Price because they were duplicates. The biggest pieces were a 3-inch section of bone from a left elbow, the ulna, I don't even know if that's how you say it, and 3 small pieces of vertebrae, so very tiny bones. They're trying to put together one case, and then another one jumps up in front of them, said Jeffrey K. Price, the father of the young man whose body was burned by the creek. Jeffrey K. Price II was identified through dental records. Pulaski County Sheriff's Todd Wood said in his office, which is investigating Price's murder, does not plan to disclose how he was killed until an arrest is made. It was clear on Wednesday how long the bones that did not come from Price had been at the site or whether a second body had been burned at the same time as his. Okay, so it clarified there. Earlier, the way the medical examiner stated it had me thought that they were burned together, but I guess it wouldn't surprise me if it turned out to be somewhere where a certain person just went and took care of their dirty work. I don't even know. Like I said, this is chilling to me. Yes, single mom. We went parking. How do you think we ended up married with children? Gotta go park. Don't worry, we were both consenting adults, so we were just living out our wild times. It goes on to say, however, the other set of bone fragments were not historic, Craig said, meaning they were not from a very old grave such as a Native American burial site. Craig can determine that from details such as the color of the bones, though it's difficult to say if the bones had been at the site a week or several years, New said. The pieces of bone were all burned and mostly very small. Taken together, the fragments would fit in the palm of her hand, Craig said. Wow. Wood said his office did not have any reports of missing people that could immediately be linked to bone fragments found with the Price's body. Craig would not discuss whether there could be more than 2 bodies among the fragments gathered at the site. If the investigators don't find more bones, a tooth, or other evidence, it will be very difficult to identify the person whose bones were found with Price, Craig said. We don't have to have all the pieces, but we might have to have the right pieces. But we do have to have the right pieces, she said. Jeffrey K. Price had been to the site where investigators were searching for more evidence Wednesday and said he was impressed with the effort. Okay, so don't get confused. Jeffrey K. Price is the father. Jeffrey K. Price II is the son. And I'll just say his dad, great dude, same person. You see him all the time. Don't matter if he's in front of the preacher or his neighbor, he's the same person all the time. Really good guy. Kevin's whole family is good. These aren't people who are out here sticking their nose in other people's business or causing trouble or anything like that. These are very good people. So, I mean, this really shocked us. This really shocked our town, So Ada, are you familiar with 192? If you go out 192 through the Clay Hill area, it's off through there. They call it Strawberry. I think they call it the Wind Cave. Maybe there's like a cave and stuff like that out there, And then of course Pittman Creek runs through there. There's a couple of fishing holes, if I remember correctly. It's been a little while since I've been out there. Don't go parking these days, Goes on to say they're turning this place upside down, he said. So Mr. Price is there bragging on the investigation. He's saying that they did a good investigation. Goes on to say, he said police have not told him much about their investigation, but he thinks his son fell in with the wrong crowd and drugs might have figured into his death. He said whoever killed his son should hope that he doesn't find them. And I'd say he's right on that. They took something from me that money can't ever replace, he said. That is a strong statement. Bless him. Breaks my heart, guys. Like I said, sweetest people you ever meet. Good people. Mom says I'm right. She knows. So, let's see what I'm going to bring up here next. They did a couple, I think, news articles about him at like maybe 10 years after. Let's see here. Yeah, they did. Let's go ahead and watch those because I think they sum them up pretty well. There's really not any extra details from what I can remember in them, but I do find them interesting on this case. Because he has gotten some coverage, his family's never gave up. They continue to reach out, and I'm sure they talk to whomever they can to spread his story around. Let's see here. Well, that's not the one I thought it was. Give me just a second, guys. Maybe it is the one I'm looking for. Okay, it is the one I'm looking for. Yeah. Okay, so this is on WKYT. This is the local news station in Kentucky. It says searching for answers 10 years later, what happened to Kevin Price. So this was from back in 2019. Y'all remember that haircut? He had gray hair, didn't he? Great hair and blue eyes. Good teeth. A beautiful young man. Okay, we'll go ahead and watch this one if I can get it to play here.
Questions consume them.
Whether you be married or kids,
Grief has been overwhelming.
I can still hear his laugh, see his smile.
Memories of a life taken at just 21 years old, a
10
loss
years later,
increased
I'm still
by the
doing the
hurt
same
felt
thing.
around the holidays.
Thanksgiving's here, Christmas is here, and I just look at that empty place where he would be sitting.
Kevin Price would have turned 31 this year. He left his job on November 9th, 2009, but never made it home.
I wish he could talk to me and tell me exactly what went on that afternoon 10 years ago, which was just yesterday to me.
This is one of several unsolved cases being investigated by the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. Now, I've been told that in the past year, they have received no new leads, but years ago, I was told that they did have some persons of interest, but simply not enough evidence to make arrests.
How does this town ever let lives go? And seems like there's never no answers.
In 10 years, rewards have been offered and large billboards erected pleading for answers. but nothing to
Very
bring them
sad,
justice.
There'll never be a day as long as I'm breathing that I'll give up and getting justice for him.
In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
That gets me. That gets me, guys. You know, with this one being close to home, I'll just tell you, it gets me because this is our children, you know? These are our kids. And it could be any of our children here, and, you know.
Your home plumbing is one of the most.
Here, let me do that. Give me a second and I'll bring the video up for that other one that I was going to show you here. Well, I don't think it wants to work for me. Give me just a second. So the other one is, I think his grandmother speaking. Was the other video we were going to watch? I'm not sure. I think it's actually on YouTube, so I'm going to pull it up there. For some reason, I couldn't get Google to go back. Something, you know, I have to do something every time. Okay, yeah, here it is. Here we go. No, that is not what we were going to watch. Wait, that's not even a news clip. We don't want to see nobody read his tarot cards. I apologize, guys. Tricked me. But here's one.
Today marks an anniversary one family wishes they never had to commemorate. A Southern Kentucky family is remembering the death of their son. 5 years ago today, 21-year-old Kevin Price disappeared. Investigators say he never came home from work, and they are still trying to figure out what happened and who killed him. WKYT Sam Smith talked with one of Price's friends who's finding ways to keep his memory alive.
Friends and family of Kevin Price spent part of the day here at the West Somerset Baptist Church Cemetery. Price does not have a gravesite here. His family set up a memorial next to his mother's grave. Price was killed 5 years ago today, so family and friends visited the cemetery to reflect on the last 5 years and Price's memory. He was 21 years old when he died. Police say he never came home from work back on November 9th, 2009. His burned truck was found near his workplace. Weeks later, his burned remains were found in another part of the county. Friends and family want justice for Price's death because no arrests have been made yet.
Justice needs to be served. I mean, it's been a long time, and I still believe that, you know, it'll come. It'll eventually come.
Memorials were also set up at the sites where Price's truck and body were found. In Pulaski County, Sam Smith, WKYT.
Price's family is offering a reward worth tens of thousands of dollars for information leading to an arrest and conviction.
So you heard that. There's a reward. Be a good chunk of change for someone. I debated a little about this, but I think what I want to do next is go into the Reddit thread on Kevin. When I dig these cases, I normally end up on Reddit at some time or another, and I don't take Reddit as fact. I just think there's interesting things there, and I think there's a few things on there that would be interesting that maybe we could discuss on his case. You know, anything to keep the conversation going, as long as it's done respectfully. So if looks like I don't think we do, but if we have any of his family in here, just know that I'm getting ready to go to the Reddit thread and it's going to be uncensored. So if anything said that offends you, I apologize ahead of time. I'm going to try not to get into anything too crazy. But like I said, when I dig these cases, I typically, if it's just me, I go into Reddit. So I'm going to do that with his as well, along with you guys, if that's okay. Give me a second here. I'll actually share my screen while we go into Reddit so you guys can see the thread as well. There's actually a whole discussion thread in there on him. I kind of skimmed over it before, but I haven't read it in detail, so I thought I would do that with you guys tonight. Exactly. And Kevin's case is one of those cases, guys. It happened in 2009. A lot has changed since then. I mean, if you know something, an anonymous tip does not hurt at all. And, you know, that takes a lot off a person's conscience. I couldn't imagine being someone who knew what happened, you know, when it comes to something like this. In every 5 years to 10 years, you know, you see the anniversaries passing, you see the family on the news, you see the family in the town, if it was somebody here, you know, so I don't know. There he is, good looking young man. So the Reddit thread says, let's start this community off on the right foot. The murder of Kevin Price has gone unsolved for 12 years. In this thread, we will discuss theories and information related to this case. Anyone heard anything or have any information they would like to share anonymously? Feel free to do so here. Personally, I find this to be a horrible case and one of the most intentionally forgotten ones in the area. Wonder why they think it's intentionally forgotten. Anyways, maybe if we can build some discussion on this and get what is out there said amongst folks in secret, this page will build more interest in this case. If you've heard anything, feel free to post it here. I will not remove any post. Okay, so it looks like they put a text from Facebook on here. On November 9th, 2009, Kevin Price was last seen leaving work at 3:30 p.m. from Eagle Hardwood, just north of Somerset. Okay, and that's all. This looks like it's from the Pulaski County Sheriff's page, so that's just what we had read. And again, if you have any information on the case, you can contact the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department at 606-678-5145. After the stream, in the description, there will be a link where you can go to their page, and they do have a place where that you can post anonymously. You can email the lieutenant on the case. It's very easy to get information through if you don't want nobody to know who you are. Okay, so first Reddit poster here says, I remember my old neighbor threatening me. I believe his name was Chris Blank. I will not say that last name, but I'm not going to bleep it out of here. You know, I just won't say it out loud. It says, I can try to contact a few people as I no longer live in Somerset for these reasons, but I believe he had something to do with this, if not the whole thing. And then we got another Reddit user down here that says, I did a little research, and the only Chris Hurt I was able to find myself was one from Eubank who seemed to have passed away in 2019. According to the obituary, he seemed to be a pretty stand-up guy. Is this the guy? And then it has the link to the obituary, which we'll look at. I haven't read this whole thread. After we see what he's being accused of, we might look at. And then it says, how exactly did this person threaten you that makes you think that he may have something to do with this? It must have been pretty serious if it were to make you flat out leave. Okay, the one from before said, oh, it's this man. So he's saying that this is the person he's talking about. Let's see. Oh, you guys can't see when it takes me here. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to show somebody's Facebook profile out here, especially when nobody's been named in it. It goes on to say, we caught him trying to break into our vehicle late one night. He was obviously highly intoxicated on drugs, the whole 9 yards. When we tried to reason with him to just go home and we can talk about it in the morning and told him we didn't want any issues, he proceeded to bang on my door for a good 5 to 10 minutes, calling me every name in the book. We told him we called the police, and he said he already has warrants out and they wouldn't do shit about it. He threatened to kill me and my dog. Cops came. Nothing good came of it. He told me the next morning if he really wanted to kill me, he would do it when he wasn't expecting it. or when I wasn't expecting it, and how I wouldn't be his first person he killed. An old friend of mine knew Mr. Price and knew he sold meth to him. One day, he picked Mr. Price up. Next thing we found out, he died. We tried reporting it, but nothing came of it. I'm convinced Chris has some guardian angel inside the system since his brother is a sheriff or a city policeman. I don't know of any sheriffs that was related to this man. The name does not ring a bell. This Reddit user says, damn, I can understand why you were freaked out about it. I've had a theory for a few years that the police are somewhat teamed up with the dealers around the area, but nothing concrete. Wally and Baldock getting popped proved there's corruption in the area. You guys ever want a fun story? Look into that one. Crazy. And then it says, this is effing crazy. Did you mention everything he said to you about the police and they still didn't investigate? The Reddit user goes on to say, I will not say all policemen in the area are bad, but I can say firsthand that they do have connections within the business. Do people really think that Wally was the only one in cahoots planting drugs? He smoked with people. His family sold drugs. I'm just glad he got what was due to him. I need to check up on him now thinking about it. Laugh out loud. Wow. Yeah, I mean, in that area, it definitely is a web. A twisted web. I'm not going to go off the wall and call people crooked or nothing, but what I will say is the Wally and Baldock was a constable, and I can't remember what Baldock was, if he was a constable or something in law enforcement. Anyways, they were basically selling drugs, but they were busting the drug dealers and stealing their drugs. They were taking pictures with signs when they would bust meth houses and put them on Facebook. I mean, just always doing crooked stuff. So they were finally got caught for what they done and arrested. One of them had a shootout. It was crazy. Just a moment. Sorry about that. You guys know I got the kiddos. I got to step away sometimes for a second. But anyways, there's definitely corruption in that area. Definitely corruption. Reddit user said he's going to be gone for a while. Baldock is currently in hell. He sadly passed away. And they said, okay, so the one that got in the shootout passed away. I definitely don't think he was the only one myself. I've been in the area for years. I know quite a few people. The last time Hurt's page looked access was in 2018 from what I can see, but everything's private except his collection of badass school profile pics. Granted, Mr. Hurt could have just been some old junkie running his mouth in some tweaker power fantasy, but I don't believe he would have left without good reason. Nobody usually does around here. To me, he looks like that fat guy in Colonial Village that sells dope and keeps his hair in a biker ponytail. But I don't think it's him. I don't know, though. I only ever met the guy once, and he gave me a ton of bad vibes. If I could remember his name, I would post it. Have you not tried to give this tip out past that one time before you left? What made you drop it here? This Reddit user says, I've told everyone who's asked. He was talking about it in more detail with a few of his friends, but I can't remember what was being said, which is why my first reply was I needed to get a hold of my old friends and ask. They confirmed everything he said because of the detail he went into. I'll keep everyone updated if I find out more. Like I said, he has family within. I read about his sister crashed drunk and nearly killed someone, but the family member officer came by, picked her up, and it was swept under the rug. Okay, well, that happens in our area more than, you can count on your fingers and toes. So that doesn't narrow it down any. This sounds like this person really sounds fishy to me. I know this is Reddit and we have to take it as Reddit, but definitely sounds fishy to me. Might be a great person, might be a good dude, but it sounds bad. It don't sound good. I hope that person tried to reach back out and give that information. Another Reddit user says, yes, definitely please share what you know and keep us updated. I would love for us to somehow be able to uncover information in a way that guides this and other crimes like it to at least be looked at by the public and more. I've heard some things over the years, but nothing that sounded solid to me personally. I didn't expect this board to get responses like this. I thought it would end up getting none at all due to the nature of the no snitching culture in the area. But I'm hoping the ability to speak without being identified continues to be used in this way. Thank you. Speaking of the no snitching culture, Yeah, it's in that area and it's in a lot of areas. That's just the thing, you're not supposed to snitch. I know I feel like my generation, we were raised up not to snitch, quit tattletelling kind of thing. But when it comes to a crime like this, if you know something, it's best to go ahead and snitch because, you can keep it to yourself all you want, but one day, at the end, Jesus knows. I mean, you don't keep something like this in and have a good life. You just can't. So, if anybody knows anything, I would just anonymously report it because I could understand if you knew something and you were scared of somebody and you're keeping your mouth shut. But I can't understand that in this case because you don't even have to worry about it. You just go online and submit a tip anonymously. Easy peasy. Okay. The Reddit user goes on to say, I will say confidently, with all my well being and so, I know that man killed him. I just had a way to officially prove it. That is a strong statement. Yeah, they can't be laying their head down at night and sleeping well. And if they can, then their soul's in trouble. The other Reddit user says, thank you for truly caring enough to even mention it in this way. Hopefully, we can get more members here and more eyes on this. Yet again, please keep us updated with anything you manage to remember. It says, continue this thread. Then someone says, I can't believe someone had the balls to come on here and say that. I've heard the same thing from a couple different people. Ooh, so more than just that person. That's interesting. Very interesting. It had proven years ago that there was corruption in Pulaski. They'll never solve it because they don't want it solved, and that's just what it is. Exactly, just like the murder of Linda Gibson and Cody Garrett, says another user. And that's one that we'll talk about after we get through this Reddit thread, because that's another case from the same area, never been solved, and it's pretty fishy in itself. It's a very solvable case, and they never solved it. You guys will see what I mean later. A Reddit user goes on to say, well, as far as that goes, they, Linda, and Kevin both had some really bad habits and wouldn't hesitate to rob someone. That being said, that leaves a long list of people that could have been mad enough to do whatever was done to both of them. Okay, I don't know who that is. It's probably a troll, but I will tell you this. Linda was very young, like Kevin. Kevin was 21. I've never heard anybody say anything, you know. Yeah, it's been a long time on Linda and Cody's case, Liza. But, like I was saying, I've never heard anybody say that Kevin would rob you. And I will just tell you right now, he had no reason to rob nobody because he probably had anything he wanted. Plus, he worked. You know what I mean? If he needed something, he would have had it. He didn't have to rob nobody for nothing. So that's probably just one of those ignorant comments we see on Reddit. And that's why I went ahead and gave that disclaimer ahead of time, because we're not taking this as fact. It's just interesting to me when I'm digging a case to read this. Someone said, I had always heard it was someone higher up around here. I don't know, though. Okay, so the Reddit user that was talking earlier about the Chris gentleman says, but no, they didn't investigate. It's all say so. The most corrupt thing Somerset does is wait until a serious crime has been or is being committed before they act. They get more revenue that way. So, yeah, it is a money racket, I'm sure. Somebody's getting excited here about him being on blast. Says, I've heard a lot of crap about this and passing from people over the years. Curious to see where this thread goes. Somebody said that they've heard, oh, yeah. Yeah, they've heard his name 3 times while searching this case and feel that he was involved too. But there is another name that they hear a lot too, and goes on to mention a young or old, I don't know, someone named Scott. Someone said Scott Neville's. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say the last name. Scott and Chris were buddies. I've also heard Scott was the one to do it, and Chris just helped dispose of the evidence. Huh. And then someone said, did Chris pass away from COVID? And someone said, no, that's a different one, just a coincidence. I linked his profile in the comments. Someone said, thank you. Someone's excited again. Holy crap, these comments. Someone Somebody said that they were trying to get on attention as well, and that they were glad to see the thread. Mentioned the anonymous tip line. So yeah. Well, I know what I'll be doing after stream. I'll be looking up those two names. I just don't want to do it on stream, guys, because I don't want to send a mob after them or anything. And I know that wouldn't happen, but just in case, crazier stuff has happened on YouTube. Okay, so it's the case of the unsolved murder of Kevin Pross. We may go a little deeper into it in the future. I'm not sure. I'd been meaning to do his case for a long time and just hadn't. So let me go ahead and close out his tabs and get Linda's up real quick. Linda's and Cody's. God, that Reddit thread was creepy. They're always creepy, though. Okay, so the next case is Linda Gibson and Cody Garrett. I don't want to speak on her age. Can't remember her exact age off the top of my head. But I know she was 20s. She was young. Her and her half-brother is Cody Garrett. They were last seen walking in the area of the Dairy Mart on Bourne Avenue in Somerset, Kentucky on July 3rd of 1994. You think she was 21, Ada? I think she was too. I thought maybe she was the same the same age as Kevin Pross, or maybe 22. But yeah, I think she was 21. You're probably right. It should say, 21. You're right. Okay, so it said that Linda and Cody were last seen walking in the area of the Dairy Mart on Bourne Avenue in Somerset, Kentucky on July 3rd, 1994. After they failed to return home, family members reported them missing the following day to the Somerset Police Department. On July 7th, 1994, the bodies of both Linda and Cody were discovered in a remote area just outside the city limits of Somerset. They were found in high weeds along the fence row at the edge of a field. The investigation found that the two had been murdered at an unknown location and that their bodies had been dumped at the site where they were found. The area of discovery is approximately 2 miles from the Bourne Avenue area where they were last seen. An investigation led by the Pulaski Sheriff's Department along with the Somerset Police Department and the FBI has been ongoing since the discovery. Although no arrests have been made, the investigation has uncovered possible suspects, and investigators have been concentrating on those leads. If you have any information in this case, please contact the Pulaski Sheriff's Department with your information. You may remain anonymous if you wish by leaving your information on our tip page. You may be eligible for a cash reward if your information leads to the arrest and or conviction of the person or persons responsible for this crime. Lieutenant Matt Bryant is over this case as well, and then they have a tip link. Anonymous tips can always be turned in. So this picture here, that is 21-year-old Linda Gibson. This here is 4-year-old Cody Garrett. And like I said, that was her half-brother. I have to mention it because the area we're talking about, this was back in the 90s and Cody was biracial. So this was something that wasn't common around here, I would say. I just don't know how well accepted that was back in 1989, And I know this didn't happen in 1989, but that's when Cody was born. So, yeah. Anyways, I just felt the need to mention that because in my mind, this is a possible hate crime because of that. Let me pull up and I think I have one here. Yeah. So, and her family, they've never gave up. Their family has not. I think their brother maybe went on NBC. Let me pull it up here. But I thought we could watch that because I think he went on there for for the 25 years later for the NBC News. Yeah. Yeah, same with Crystal. Crystal Marler, if you guys don't know who that is, she was a young lady, a teenager out of McCrory County. 15, am I right, Ada? I hope I didn't get that wrong, but I've got brain freeze right now. But anyways, Crystal was 15, I do believe, when she went missing, and she wasn't found for 10 years, but her body was found. And she was a biracial girl, and she was from McQuarrie County, which is just south, the neighboring county from the county where this happened. So those areas back in the 90s, there was some groups that targeted biracial groups, maybe. I don't know how you would say it. But anyways, it was frowned upon in that area. And thank God they've gotten with the times. But back in the day, it could have been a hate crime because of that. Yeah, she thinks so as well. Let's see. It says 25 years later, victim's brother still searching for Kentucky double murderer. Linda Gibson and Cody Garrett were found murdered in a field outside of Somerset, Kentucky on July 7th, 1994. The Pulaski County Sheriff's Department and the Somerset Police Department are conducting the investigation. There they are. It says Linda Gibson was a fun-loving and easygoing 21-year-old woman, according to her younger brother Clayton Gibson. She was really shy. She loved her family, and we loved her too, Clayton told Dateline. Linda was the best sister in the world. According to Clayton, the Gibson family had always lived in the Somerset, Kentucky area. He told Dateline that in 1994, Linda lived with her 4-year-old daughter, Stephanie, not far from the family. And there's a picture of Linda and Stephanie, her daughter. Bless her daughter's heart. Her mom was taken way too soon from her. Clayton said that on July 3rd, 1994, Linda had been watching her younger half-brother, Cody Garrett. He told Dateline that Cody was a sweet and innocent 4-year-old. Clayton said that Linda's daughter, Stephanie, was being watched by Linda's mother that day. Clayton said that the half-siblings went for a walk to their local grocery store that day. They never returned home. According to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department's press release, Linda and Cody were last seen walking around Bourne Avenue near the Dairy Mart. The next day, the 4th of July, their family reported them missing. Dateline was unable to reach an official at the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department for comment, but according to their press release, it took 4 days for the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, along with help from the Somerset Police Department, to find their bodies. Their bodies were found in a remote area outside of Somerset, hidden by tall weeds. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second. Yeah, she was a mother. She had a little girl. So while it's talking about while they were found, I don't know if we'll come up on it tonight, but this is actually a case. I don't know if anybody's been here long enough, but the very first stream I ever done, I dug their case. During that stream, it came up that they were found in this remote area, at the fence. But listen, this is how they were found. So 4 days later, a man came and got her mother and her mother's boyfriend and told them he had found Linda and Cody. He got in the car with them and he drove them to the location of the bodies, and they called 911 from there. So this man claims he found the bodies that day, went to them. He didn't call 911. He didn't freak out and go to the cops. He went and got the parents of these brutally murdered children, took them to the crime scene, and then got police involved. Okay, and it doesn't spell it out plainly like that anywhere, but if you go back to that first stream, we found that they had been took there, and a man that goes by Rod Bubba, who does radio around here, he had the man who took them to the murder scene, he had him call in on his show. He named him. We were able to piece together who that man was that took him there. And I'm sorry, but to me, that makes you a suspect, sir. It just does. I want to know what happened in the investigation there. I would love to know how they cleared him, if they ever were able to clear him. Because, I don't know. Maybe that's just fishy. Maybe I'm just a scared person. I don't know. But if I came up on a brutal murder scene after I got done freaking the fuck out, I would call 911. The last thing I would do is be like, oh, that's Susie and John. I'm going to go grab mom and dad. No, I'm not doing that. Who wants to be that bearer of bad news? And why would you even want to? No, that was handled badly. Very poor handling of that, sir, good sir. Anyways, I'll quit on that tangent. But we may come back across it tonight, but I just wanted to touch on that. It goes on to say, according to the Pulaski Sheriff's Department, after investigating the scene, it seemed that Linda and Cody had been murdered elsewhere, and their bodies were then dumped in the field, which was only 2 miles from the road which they were last seen. It is unclear if there was any evidence left behind, but Clayton told Dateline that he believes there would have been DNA left behind because Linda was the type of person who would have tried to fight off her attacker. Clayton told Dateline that in the weeks and the months leading up to July the 3rd, his sister had told him and their father that she thought someone was going to hurt her. Clayton said that his father would beg Linda to tell them who she was talking about and why. He would say, "If you don't tell us, we can't help you." Clayton told Dateline that Linda would just sit there and cry, so something had her upset beforehand. I wonder if it ever came out in the investigation why, because where it's still open, we don't know. We've never heard. Please clarify, did they leave after being shown the bodies and go elsewhere to make the call? Or did they call from a cell phone they had? Why didn't he stop at a house and use a phone? Okay, so yeah, good point, Ada. This was back in the day. From what I can see on a map, he would have at least passed by a payphone before he would have gotten to them. However, that may have been the reason why he may have not been able to get to a phone. But and as far as them, when did they call? Once they got there, I'm not sure how they went to the police. I just know that they were the ones that reported it together, and that it stuck out to me. But hopefully, if we come back on it, I'll look out for that because I don't quite remember that detail. I just remember thinking that it was really fishy that that man, when he found that, instead of the police being his first stop, it was mom and dad. Or mom at the least. I don't think it was dad, but it was boyfriend at the time. I don't exactly remember how all that went. But good questions. We'll have to keep our eye out because I don't want to speak wrongly. It may have been a simple, and I guess if it was, sir, if it's because lack of technology and you just didn't pass the phone, I'm sorry, but I looked on the map and there at Darrymore, you would have passed a phone coming from Strawberry if you took that way. And if not, you would have been closer to the police station than Bourne Avenue by a little, not much, but I can't do that, can I, guys? I can't judge him for that. Everybody handles situations differently. I just thought that stuck out to me and made me question. Goes on to say that he told Dateline that Cody was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, it seems to me that maybe later on that man did come up again on a YouTube video somewhere, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to keep digging. But maybe after he came up on the YouTube video, I was like, what? Because it kind of puzzled me a little bit. Because you would think he wouldn't want to touch it or be nowhere near it, but I don't know. So the brother seems to believe that Linda was the target and Cody was just there was just murder because he was there. I would like to know what happened between the three after seeing her. Did the man stay with her, the others leave to make the call? I can't imagine the poor parents having to go to the police. I know. I have heard rumors that the man that took them there, and this is completely rumors, I have heard that he was questioned by the police that night. And then I heard rumored that they had someone that they questioned that night who admitted to the murders. However, they did not read them the Miranda rights, so they were not able to take a proper statement, and that person left town. So I've heard so many rumors. I know what I believe happened, but I'm not going to sit here and tell it because I'm not going to put people's names out there. Like I said, this is an open investigation. I'm not trying to solve it. I'm just trying to read about it. It says no arrests have been made, but according to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department press release, the investigation has uncovered possible suspects and investigators have been concentrating on those leads. So they're not going to say anything to me. They're not going to answer my questions, but I think I would like to reach out to Pulaski and ask them, if they ever got to investigate these possible suspects and if anything ever panned out, if they're still waiting, if they're still investigating them, or if, they were able to clear them. Clayton goes on to say, I'm no detective, but for 20 years, I've gone around door to door asking questions and trying to help solve this case, Clayton told Dateline. I hope, and pray that somebody could come in here and go through Linda and Cody's case again. I just want people to remember Linda and little Cody. If you have any information in this case, please contact the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department at 606-678-5154. Wow. You know, I've heard a lot of rumors about this case, and I wonder if they're mentioned on Reddit, because I know people were more than willing to talk about Kevin's case on Reddit. I just wonder what it says on Reddit for hers. Yeah. You know, at one time, this case did get pretty noisy in that area. They were doing protests and things of that nature. I think it was at the 25-year mark, so that would have been in around 2015. I think they held a protest there. I'm not sure, but we may come up on it. Let me see here. Well, we're not going to pay to read the Commonwealth Journal. It's not that good anyways. I shouldn't say that. They have some decent stuff, but it's not necessary. Let's see. Ooh, there's a Kentucky Gone Cold at the edge of town, the murder of Linda Gibson and Cody Garrett. That might be something to listen to sometime or another. Not tonight. I don't want to go over too much. You know, guys know I like to keep them around an hour, but let me go ahead and pull up the Reddit thread, and we'll go through the Reddit thread before we leave, because I've never went through their Reddit thread before. If that's okay with everyone. I don't know. Reddit may be a little much for some of you. I always find it interesting. I'm nosy like that, though. Okay, there it is. So it says Linda Gibson and her 4-year-old half-brother Cody Lee Garrett accepted a ride from a car. 4 days later, they were found murdered. What? This is the first I'm hearing accepting a ride from the car. Okay. So we're on the Unresolved Mysteries Reddit thread. And it says on, thank you, FarQ. Have fun with your housework. I've got some that I need to do, but it's going to wait till a little later. My toddler is back in his night owl phase, so I do all my best cleaning from midnight to 2 o'clock. Who knows? You might see me back here at 3 a.m. if he gets crazy with it tonight. But anyways, I find this very interesting that it says that they accepted a car ride and then 4 days later were found murdered, because I did not hear that. It says on July the 7th, 1994, the body, and this isn't fact. It may not be true. I'm just saying that's the first time I've heard that rumor. The bodies of 21-year-old Linda Gibson and her 4-year-old half-brother Cody Lee Garrett were found in a field outside of Somerset, Kentucky on a fence line. On July 3rd, Linda and Cody walked to a convenience store, which was Dairy Mart. Witnesses saw them getting into a car on Bourne Avenue near the Dairy Mart, and that was the last time they were seen alive. The belief was that someone knew. Wow. My mind's blown. How have I missed this? Guys, I looked into this case, before. Like I said, when I first started my channel, I looked into this case and dug it one night. I've never heard this. This one's close to home, and I've never heard this. Liza Jane, had you ever heard that Linda Gibson and Cody Garrett accepted a ride from a car when they were at Dairy Mart, and then that's 4 days later they were found? Not I think I would remember that. Clayton Gibson, Linda's younger brother, said that they often walked to that convenience store. The bodies were found 2 miles from Bourne Avenue, which was fairly close. Best sister of the world. That was Clayton. Linda was living with her 4-year-old daughter, Stephanie, near her family's home. Clayton said that she was a shy person and was very close to her family. She was the best sister in the world, according to him. On the 3rd of July, Linda was babysitting Cody. Linda's daughter was at her grandmother's house. Linda and Cody went for a walk to the local grocery store. It was very hot on that day, and they never returned. The next day, the 4th of July, the family reported them missing. After a search, their bodies were found 3 days later. After a search? I don't know about that. We're going to have to find those early newspaper articles. This is going to turn into a to be continued, I'm sure, because there was early newspaper articles. And one of the radio stations Big Daddy Rod Bubba or whatever he goes by, you know, his little personality on there. He was talking about it. He had the caller call into his show, but I guess that means the caller, that doesn't make that a fact either. It didn't come from law enforcement, so this is just people talking. So I guess people can say whatever they want to. Me either. I'm shocked. It says Linda had talked to her Clayton and father in the weeks leading to her murder. She was afraid that someone would hurt her, but she never revealed who that person was. She would just cry without revealing any details, even though her father urged her that unless she talked, they couldn't help her. No one was ever arrested for the murders. Even the Pulaski County Sheriff's press release mentions leads and a suspect being investigated. So, yeah, that was in that same newspaper article that I'm talking about. It was talking, Sheriff Sammy Catherine had came, up the day before and he came up one day and said that he was expecting an arrest, and then the following day, nothing. And the rumor is that they did not properly, Mirandarize the guy and read him his Miranda rights. So I don't know. I don't know that to be true. That's more talk. That's just more. They're not facts. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something I've actually been debating for a little while to try to reach out to family members on this one, because it seems like it's been so long. They're probably all right to talk to someone. I always hate poking around these cases that aren't solved. I don't want to mess anything up, and I hate talking about the rumors. And in this one, there's a lot of rumors that's hard not to talk about because it makes it so interesting. It says the FBI was also called in, and Clayton believes that more than one person was responsible. He also believes that, he says, I think people know more than what they say because they were afraid to talk about it because of the circumstances and people involved. It goes on to say that the belief is they were murdered not very far from the fence line where they were found. As far as the investigation goes, the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, which investigated the case through 4 different sheriffs in the Somerset Police Department, are in charge of the investigation. They say that even though this is a cold case, they don't treat it that way. They are not sure of the motive, but they believe that the 4-year-old got killed because he had witnessed what was done to his older sister and he could identify the killers. And then it goes on, the quote that we already read from Clayton, saying that he's no detective, He just wants people to remember Linda and little Cody. There are just a lot of times I feel the only person who could do anything about it is God himself. Just an awful tragedy for them to be taken the way they were. So this person says that there is no info on the following: the manner of death and the condition of the bodies, whether DNA was found at the scene, and no description of the car that picked up Linda and Cody or its occupants. So that must be things that they're keeping to themselves from the investigation. And then it gives the murder of Mary Carter, saying that they're similar, but I don't know anything about that. Okay, so let's see what people are saying. Someone said, I wonder if Linda was involved in drug trafficking or other illegal activity to any extent, and or had possibly witnessed something that would have put her in danger. It might explain why she was reluctant to tell her family who or what she was so afraid of in the weeks leading up to her murder. It may also help account for her entering the vehicle on July 3rd. Maybe the driver was someone she knew who threatened her or lured her into the car under the guise of picking her up. Very, very sad case. Poor Linda and Cody must have been terrified. Another Reddit user said, you might be right in the sense that she might have witnessed something. On the other hand, why get in the car with someone who frightens you? If they did get in the car with somebody, being as she had her 4-year-old little brother with her, I would like to think that it's somebody that she trusted or didn't feel threatened by. Because, she was a mother herself, so if someone intimidated her, I don't see her going for that. What y'all think? Give me just a second. I gotta mute real quick. Okay, it goes on to say, a Reddit user says, oh, they give what a possibility is. And it's basically just says, what puzzles me is why they accepted a ride if they were simply taking a walk to the grocery store. It wasn't very far from her house, from what I understand. And that's just talking about drug trafficking, and we don't know if any of that was going on, and I'm not seeing any names named. Good point, Ada. Would she go willingly if they had got a hold of her little brother? I'm sure she would have. I have a teenager and a toddler, and I know that if somebody grabbed my toddler, my teenager would be on it just as hardcore as I would. So, yeah, that could be one possibility as well. Good thinking. Huh. There was a Reddit user up here. Maybe they had a gun and threatened to shoot Cody if she didn't get in. So, there you go. Someone. Good thinking. This could be the case, of course. In the sources, it's mentioned that the belief was someone she knew. I translate that to mean it was belief of the witnesses. I could be wrong. People just talking about weed. I don't think weed got them killed. I don't know that it didn't, but I mean, skim past it. True, it is. The thing about it is, the Dairy Mart where they were going, if somebody had stopped there, if they'd have snatched him in the car, she would have had to go. But if they were still on the outside of the car and someone had intimidated her, she was in a very public place. I mean, she could have took off running to the police station. But yeah, you can't run with a 4-year-old. You're right. You're right. This is one of those cases where I hope we know someday. It's been so long it makes you uneasy on whether they'll solve it or not, but I hope we know someday. So they're just talking about a lot of pot and cocaine, people cheating them. I don't know. It's nothing that's based on a fact or anything. Someone goes on to say, it is odd that Linda was babysitting her 4-year-old brother when her own child the same age was at her grandparents' home. Well, that's none of nobody's business. The ages of the kids show that she and her stepmother had been pregnant at the same time, and that Linda was a teen when her daughter was born. It goes on to talk about their family dynamics and things, so. People's just giving their theories, and some of them's a little much, so that's why I'm skipping over them. They're just talking about why the kids were there. Okay, someone says the witnesses just reported that they saw Linda and a boy get into a car. They didn't report anything suspicious. I wish we knew the description of that car. Somebody said they get the impression that Ellie is withholding this info, and they probably are. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish going through this Reddit thread in my own time to pick out what's important, because in this one there's a lot of theories flying around, and some of them's getting pretty heavy, so I don't want to be reading them or nothing, and it just doesn't seem logical, some of them. But at any rate, I'm going to go back and I'm going to read through the Reddit thread myself, and I'm also going to dig up those newspaper articles that I was talking about. I might dig up that first stream and go through there and see where I found those at, and I'll get those newspaper articles so that we can read them next time and make sure that I pieced it correctly together the first time about the radio personality having the call in from the man that took them there to the murder scene. But I've been on for over an hour. I like to keep these at about an hour. I'll either be back live around 3 a.m., 4 a.m., or I will be back tomorrow. Well, I'll definitely be back tomorrow at the same time. That'll be about Madalena Kojakari. But I'll come back on and we'll finish this after I get through going through the Reddit thread and stuff. And we'll do that another night or later on this one, depending on how my schedule goes. But I really thank everybody for coming through tonight, and those who are still here listening, I hope you share this Kevin's case. If you have a channel, please talk about it. If you need any information on it, get a hold of me. I can put you in contact with people. And they want people to talk about it. His family actually wants everybody to know about it. So I know that they would be more than willing to speak to any creators out there. And I can help you make that happen. I just don't have on my mind because when cases are close to home to me, I try not to because I don't want to dox too much and I don't want to give away too much information. You know, when it's something that I'm really close to, I try to stay away from it, especially on here because it can get messy. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. I'll be back on later tonight. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow night at 9, I hope. I'm going to do my best to be on time for that one. I will be having Loves to Lurk and Alley Cat on panel to talk about Madalena Kojakari. And she's a missing girl from Cornelius, North Carolina. And we're going to do a deep dive on her case tomorrow night. So I hope to see everyone then. But as far as that goes, you guys have a good night and I'll see you next time. Bye.